Hailing from a company known for games that are bright, cheerful, and oriented towards creativity, Tearaway Unfolded has all the markings of a media molecule title. But when the focus shifts from 2D to 3D and the level creation tools are swapped for putting your own touch on an already established world, does the formula still hold up? The story of Tearaway revolves around you, not as an avatar in the game, but as an actual person. Your two guides in this game always talk to you directly, even going as far to refer to the character you control as a separate entity. That character is called the Messenger, named so because you must help them deliver a message from their world to yours, avoiding all of the hazards and pitfalls that hound them along the way. It's a very self-aware narrative, even more so than Little Big Planet, which allows it a level of uniqueness and flexibility in both how it's told and how its twists and turns present themselves. It's also a game that makes the actual you a character in ways that few other games try, so if you've been searching for a story that feels more personalized, this might just be what you're looking for. This player-avatar separation carries over into the gameplay as well. At its core, Unfolded is a 3D action game with occasional puzzle-solving elements, some combat sequences, and a bit of light platforming all interspersed here and there. You're also regularly given new abilities to help keep these challenges fresh, and so is your messenger. Most of how you'll interact with Tearaway is by controlling the messenger, but there are also several powers you'll pick up over the course of the journey that let you manipulate aspects of the world itself. You can warp the ground by pressing the touchpad, shine the controller light on the screen with L2 or R2 to grow plants and control enemies, and they just get crazier as time goes on. There are also several parts of the game that will require you to get creative, from drawing a crown to taking pictures that will appear on walls and posters later on. In fact, your creations show up a lot, to the point where after a while it's hard not to feel like your efforts have left an impact on the world. Oh, and speaking of the world, I can safely say that aside from the original Vita title, there is nothing else out there that looks like Tearaway Unfolded. Paper Mario comes close at times, but even it has never achieved an entire world that sticks to the papercraft aesthetic this well. And because it's all based in this kindergarten arts and crafts style, even your own contributions, no matter how flawed, look like natural parts of the environment. From little details like confetti fireflies and rolled up bridges, to the fact that the environment literally unfolds around you as you walk, it's a joy just to hop around some of these landscapes to see what other visual marvels you can find. A nice touch considering that there often won't be anything else there for you. This game seems to alternate between offering you largely linear areas and then wide open ones that have tons of little nooks and crannies to poke around. What's disappointing to me is that 9 times out of 10, all these side paths don't have anything of functional value waiting for you when you get to them, and even when they do, it's usually just another present, which is filled with more currency. The problem there is that if you even go remotely out of your way, you'll always have far more cash than you'll know what to do with, despite the game's efforts to get you to spend it on missions and side quests. For a world that's so inviting and feels so good to explore in the first place, there's very little practical reason to do so, so just keep that in mind if you decide to go off the beaten path. But by far, this game's weakest aspect is the combat. This is no Bayonetta, and it's not even Arkham, really. Your options for getting rid of enemies are varied in theory, but very limited in execution. And by that, I mean that you almost immediately realize that picking up and throwing things at your enemies is always the most effective strategy. You have other tools, but they're slower, don't solve the problem by themselves in most cases, and are often very situational. The crazy thing is, enemy encounters are actually much more interesting early on. This is when options are limited, and fights end up becoming more like environmental puzzles. And these sections match the tone of the game more closely, as they encourage you to get creative and come up with less direct but more efficient solutions to the problem, and are much more rewarding for it. It's just a shame they don't do this more often. Despite this, I genuinely had a good time with Tearaway Unfolded. This is a title that broke the fourth wall in wonderfully enjoyable ways, and made me an active part in what was going on. There are few games that have given me the kind of impact on a digital world that this one did, and in that aspect, it just keeps getting better as your creations populate more of the environment and your list of godly powers just keeps growing. It's an incredibly personal experience, and a charming one to boot. So for $40, yeah, I'd say this is totally worth it. So dust off your PS4s, guys, and go make your mark on the world.